Okay, and now for something completely different.
We hauled out the boat in Trinidad, and after starting some of the maintenance projects we plan, we flew home to the UK for a visit. Boats in Trinidad, we've been working on this boat here in, there's Richard. This boat's needing to go back in the water, it's been out a long time. This is a T-class cruiser called Petunia. She's been built in Finland. She's 38 foot long and is constructed from oak frames with Columbia pine 1-inch planks. Her planking is carvel. What's carvel planking, I hear you say? Well, it means the planks are laid on, so these would be the frames, so they go around the inside of the boat, making the shape of the boat, and on the outside of it are planks like this, and they're fitted edge on to one another and sealed in this way. Progress yesterday, got the boot line on and the anti-fouls done underneath, so we're going to work on the top sides today, I think. See if we can get them into some shape. Petunia has been out of the water for a long time, definitely 7 years, but most likely 10 years, and over that time the planks have shrunk. The frames that create the shape of the vessel and the planks that form the surface are joined using copper nails. Because of the shrinking in the planks, there are big gaps between the planks which would allow water in and would sink the boat quickly if not sealed. And the ends of the nails has a tight fitted copper washer driven on, and the ends of the nails trimmed and then beaten or peened to fix the nail and the rope tightly. First coast of gloss on. Rich is looking very pleased because we've just dodged the shower, and yeah, boat's looking really good. Let's pull the masking tape off. Got a few more coats of gloss to go. Top side gloss, and then we've got some work on the top side. Mast, we did some work on the spreaders, sanded them down. There's a bit of work to do on the light and masthead, and some fittings that just need sorted. But the mast is in really good shape. The woodwork is fantastic, considering it's been out 7 years. Yeah, a few little spots on it, but basically it's been undercover, so she's actually not bad at all. A little clean up and a little bit more varnish, it should be fine. All's looking good. We're not trying to make a pristine job because she's been out of the water 7 years, and lots of the seams need to take up with the water before she gets a proper coat of paint. So she'll be in for a year, maybe two, take up the water and then bring her out, and then you can sand down and sort the seams out, because she did have the seams open up on the bottom. I had to fill those with flexible compound until they've taken up again, and then they'll squeeze out, and then you can deal with them properly then. Normally boats, when they're first built, are sealed with corking cotton, so there's basically a profile that looks something like this. And this is about 1/3 of the way through the plank. So this is the plank here, grain running that way, running this way up and down the plank, and you fill this lower third with what's called oakum, which is like a mixture of plant material, and it's rammed in there with a driver to fill that last joint. So that provides a certain amount of sealant, and then on the top of that you put in linseed putty. It's a traditional thing, or mixed with red lead, and that nowadays it's obviously poisonous, quite a dangerous thing, and it's very difficult to get hold of. So what Richard's done is he's used a modern sealant material to fill up this gap in here with silicone or like a polysulfide sealant. And the idea behind it is that as the planks swell and as the water gets into these planks, so the water comes in through the sea into the plank, swells the plank, makes the plank move in this direction, so that this gap gradually closes and closes until it's almost sealed up completely and very little water gets in. The sealant that was in here now of course bulges out, and a bit unsightly, but the next time you bring it out of the water for a maintenance period, you can clean this back, and the sealant is pressed in there, and the joint here is sealed. Oh, Mr. Frick, you've discovered a new way of using old tins, old bottles. So we've cut this in half, and what's it going to be used for?
For painting, for a paint tray.
A paint tray, yeah. So what are the features?
We've got a handle, sort of a big nice flat surface here, but best of all, the excess little
be poured out back into the tin. Brilliant. Oh, definitely one for practical boat owner, eh?
And of course,
and you get two for the price of one. What could be better? This is the sort of rudder you need to avoid orca attacks. One that's attached to the back of the keel rather than separate. Got a lovely stern to it. Look at that. Counter. Having finished most of the hull work, we left Richard behind for a long weekend to visit Holland and Mary's brother and sister-in-law for a significant birthday party. This is us getting a fix of boats while we're away. So this is Scavingham, and we were going to come in here at one point, but never quite made it up to see Mary's brother Peter. Yeah. Flying back to the UK, my sons and grandchildren had gathered for my significant birthday. Petunia, meanwhile, had been launched by crane lift with the expected major leaks, and the pumps going full on for a day and a night until the planks swelled and reduced the ingress to just a few more significant leaks, with the bilge pumps going every couple of minutes and then gradually up to every 5 minutes. This is one of the original sales leaflets for the T-Class cruiser. Optional extras at the time, in 1938, it included a complete Brazilian teak deck for £8 extra, a trysail for £8, 17 shillings and sixpence, or an 8.5 horsepower Kermath C-Cub engine for £150, and that included the shaft and the propeller. So Richard's fixing the bow pulpit with some screws, so we'll have safety lines on again shortly. What a glorious bowsprit we've got out here. There are just a few bits of bodges we've had to do to keep the water out at the moment. We've been doing some work this morning on the cabin top. We've glued it and then we've filled it just to keep some of the water out. There are a couple of rather soft spots in the deck here which we want to try and keep the water out of. The main problem with it, the boat being out of the water for so long, is the planks have shrunk and they have to take up water again. So this, he's got several bilge pumps in here and a battery, and we've got some shore power. But it was leaking very badly when he came in, but now it's stopped to the pumps running probably every 5 minutes. Let's take it up. So he's going to move it to the slipway this afternoon and see if we can get the leak, which seems to be up in the stern under where the rudder stock is. That seems to be where the major, it's not a major leak, but it's a little bit of a trickle coming in there. This is a bit different on a boat this age. Down below it's all wood, lots of old bronze fittings. There's a lovely old oil lamp. Mary washed the blankets on the seats, and it's all solid teak and lovely boat. But the problem we had with the cockpit roof was the stuff on the top of it has been leaking, so it will leak. It's cracked, so it's got to be just sealed from the outside, and then I think Richard's going to do some work on the cockpit itself. But lovely old cupboards under here. Look at this, fantastic, eh? Look at the wood panelling, and an old stove in here. This is a new one, and that's a typical water pump for a boat this age. Bronze pump, bring the water up from below. Little things to keep your kitchen items in. Lovely brass knobs on everything. Look at that. Fantastic. Look at the carpentry in there on an old boat like this. There's your drawers for tools and cutlery. But the main focus at the moment is on this. It's got the engine running. It's a Yanmar, quite a new one. It's only had about 10 hours on it, but it's not run for 10 years, so that was the problem. So, keel step mast, some more oil lamps here, beautiful things when you get them polished up. That's the sort of thing would have been in the 1930s typical. And then sail locker and bunks up forward. Older sails, but they'll still be serviceable, I've no doubt. And a little bit of water just trickling in to the bilge up forward here, but not very much from forward. It has closed up quite dramatically since the boat come in the water. The head is under here somewhere. There's a bronze, nice fancy looking bronze toilet pump. And he's got, I think he had a heater in here as well, so it went out through a chimney in there. But yeah, it's suffered a little bit with its 10 years out of the water. There's a vent up the top there. And you can see the planking here. Oh, it's taken up. But she needs a bit of TLC. This is the sort of paneling you've got on the inside of the boat. Would have been strips like this just to give you an air gap between the hull and the inside, so you didn't get condensation. But of course, when we're putting the boat back in, you need to be able to see what's going on underneath there. And yeah, an old switch box with all these nav instruments and things on it. Navigator would have been early GPS. And this is quite a well-known sailor compact VHF. And in fact, that's not the oldest of the VHFs made by Sailor. This is probably a more modern one. A couple of winches for sail handling. And nice tail he's got on this. But the leak that we found is down aft under the aft end of the boat. I think it's just missing a little bit of filler in there, so I hope we're going to take it over the harbour up to that end where the ramp is, and just let it sit there, and as the tide goes out, to be able to get to this little leak and then open it up and then back over here. So the electronic sun log. Bronze fittings on the door and the hatch for the living area, and then you've got an old compass which probably needs a bit of a polish and some more fluid in it. Guys are doing some areas helping Richard with the. Are you holding it on? Are you?
I'm trying to get it to spin it. It's lost its end. I can't get it started against the hole.
She's a plank deck, but it's a few leaks in the deck at the moment. And that seals up as the water gets into it. The foredeck has a nice little winch, anchor winch on it, and a bowsprit. So we're just sorting the handrails at this end. And the fitting here, Richard's gone off to take the old screws out of it, or bolts that were in there, so we'll have to try and fit that in the back end of here. Yeah, so a wooden mast. It's got a little bit of a twist in it, so we was having a look at that the other day. I think it's something to do with the shrouds. We just need to get it twisted around before it gets seated. And the aft hatch is needing a bit of work on it. It's got a bit of a crack in it there. We've got the boat moved across. Mary's handling lines and I have been abandoned aboard. I'll be eating ship's biscuits for the next while. We're going to lie alongside this launch ramp. We don't want to come fully out of the water, just get the top of the rudder clear enough to get to the leak and get it sealed. If you ever come across a copy of this book, Mary Ann Among the Thousand Islands, we'd love to hear. It's the story of a T-class cruiser and its adventures cruising the Finnish archipelagos. So timber planks are obviously made from wood. The seams on them we're trying to seal, but the wood itself, when it takes up water, tends to swell across the grain like this, across the plank outwards like this. But if you looked at the plank in length along the hull, it doesn't expand as much in these directions. So these gaps here much more susceptible to leaking. And where the vessel, so in this case it's the stern of the vessel coming around like this, the stern comes down and then drops away for the keel, and in this part here there's down the centre of the boat there is a piece of timber, and as the timbers come along the boat, they join into that plank. So the planks will be set up in this direction like this. At this point here, the ends of the grain, end of the plank, meet the timber that's down the centre line of the vessel, the keel or the inner keel, keelson, whatever it's called, near where the rudder is. So the leak has actually been occurring in this area here, and probably an end joint. As you can probably see, we have her leaning slightly towards the wall so she doesn't fall outwards, and we have a line around the mast back to the quay to stop her falling outwards too far. As the water dropped slowly, we had to leave Richard to deal with the leak. We returned at midnight to help move the yacht back into its berth. So we've got the boat back in her berth. She's the other way around now, and we've got a few things fixed. I think there's still a few holes, I believe, but Richard's having a check on those now. It'll be a bit easier this way around with the bowsprit out, I think, than it is the other way around. Initially the leaks were worse, but after a day the leaks had dried up to minimal, safely back afloat. We returned to family, seeing the Sea Queen celebration, visiting a Spanish galleon, and Albert Strange, the designer of Tally Ho, and various random adventures. We're in behind the shed, and Cyril's working away on this patch here. Finally we made our way back to our boat in Trinidad. Well, that's the pile of luggage we had to bring back. Quite a lot of luggage, eh?
Hope you enjoyed the video. You'll be pleased to hear that Petunia is now back in the water with minimal leaks.
We're still in Trinidad, awaiting the end of the hurricane season.
And we've got more footage to show you from last season. Our carnival in Martinique, and then we go north up the island chain to Anguilla.
Yeah, it's been very hot and humid here, hence the lack of enthusiasm in editing videos down below. But now we've got the AC up and running properly, and we're back in the water, so hopefully we'll have a bit more enthusiasm in getting videos done.
So it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from her. So until the next time,
Fair winds and following seas. Bye.